All right, excited to jump into this one. We're going to be talking all things sales development. To do that, we brought on a new friend of mine. His name's Zach Palmier. It's Palmier, correct?
Yeah, Palmier. All good.
Palmier. I've been saying Zach Palmer, but I remembered it was Zach Palmier. He's currently the director of sales development over at Vanta. We're a customer of Vanta, by the way. Did you know that?
I don't think I knew that. Nice. You made the right choice.
Yeah, man. I forgot. I meant to tell you that last time. I was like, I did not even know. We got our new trust site. Everything's working, and we've liked working with the team. So kudos, you guys are doing something right. Anyways, want to dive into kind of your background, some of the stuff you've been doing. So maybe let's start at not the beginning, but man, how did you get into sales development? Give us kind of your quick story here.
Yeah, it's an interesting story, and I get it a lot, especially in a lot of the interviews that I've been doing. I was actually on my way to law school. Took the LSATs. Was about to go to one of the schools in California, and I graduated a semester late from college because I wanted to get my double major in history and poli-sci. Law school's expensive. After I graduated in December, found a position in sales to kind of pay my way through, and kind of fell in love with it. I was lucky to join a company called MoPro, and this was back in the day where mobile responsive websites were all the rage. We're talking like early 2010s, because the iPhone had just like started getting big.
Yeah. That's awesome.
So we were selling mobile responsive websites. It was popping off. I moved to the Philippines for a year and deferred my acceptance to law school, and just kind of never went back. And sales found me. Was really lucky, and it's been a passion of mine since then. Really professionally and personally rewarding.
I think you're right, man. We shared that. I took a LSAT class. I was getting ready to go. I took some of the practice tests, and I was like, oh man, I just couldn't bring myself to do it. Hopefully it's turned out for the best. I guess you never know, but it seems like things have been okay. So congrats. Then what specifically to sales development? I mean, you obviously started down that path, and you've been doing it a long time now, but what was kind of the push specifically then into sales development?
When I think about sales development leaders, they kind of fall along a spectrum, and I traditionally ask this when I'm interviewing them. Like on the far right-hand side, you have the rah, get in front of everyone, LinkedIn posts, can command a room, motivators. On the left-hand side, you kind of have the operators, the folks who can build out scalable, repeatable programs. And I kind of found myself kind of more towards that left-hand side.
Interesting.
My mind has always kind of like worked that way, for better or worse. And sales development is that function where I can sit on the apex between sales, operations, marketing, and talent development. And it's always just kind of like drawn me in. So
fascinating.
It's a really strong fit for how I always thought about sales dev, and how I think about myself. So it's been really fun.
I love it. And then quick update on Vanta. So what are you doing now? Give us the quick overview on the company, a little bit of the lay of the land from a team size, et cetera.
Yeah, Vanta's crushing it. It's been such an incredible experience to learn from strong leaders inside this organization. Our founder, Christina, my CRO, Stevie, my direct boss, Willie, and Julie, our VP of sales, great individuals. We're on a rocket ship growing exponentially year over year. Our branding is amazing, led by our CMO, Scott Holden, who comes to us from Brex. And I'm lucky to lead our NAMR and APJ sales development org.
Man, that is once you start hitting close to 100, I think you're there's just not very many teams getting close to that size these days. So you got to be, I think, in that top, 1%, something like that. How has your experience been from going, you've grown teams from, 1, 10, 50. What's the difference between all of those different gates in your mind?
Yeah, there's a very clear gate, and you said it perfectly, Gabe. From 1 to 10, it's just like figuring everything out. Like what is going on, how everything works. And it also means like someone's made a bet that sales development as a function is like going to be the future of this org.
Yeah.
Not just on the function, but also yourself. Like you're going to be the person who's taking the reins and going to build out this organization from the start. Now, I didn't have the privilege of doing it here at Vanta. I've done it at other organizations.
Yeah.
But regardless, like it's a bet on both accords. A lot of it from that 1 to 10 is just doing it yourself, figuring out what works and failing. In that 10
it's like you just got to get your hands dirty, right? And a lot of people can't do that, man. It's hard to it's hard to transition from the 10 to 50. You kind of move into that like leaders of leader role versus like the 1 to 10 is just like, I got to do this myself, basically. I got to figure
Yeah,
this out.
there's actually a sales dev leader who just joined Clay, and he did the same exact thing, figuring it out himself, building some of the workflows internally before he felt ready to kind of scale the organization
Mm.
himself. And it's very emblematic of that 1 to 10 motion. You got to
Yeah.
figure it out first, and then scale it across the board. Uh, Kind of moving on, Gabe, is like to the 10 to 50 or 10 to 50. It's a whole other beast.
Yeah.
Like you've kind of figured out like what's working, but you just need to find like a good operator. You're no longer the person in the reins. You
Yeah.
have to lean on a couple other leaders, and finding someone who is like-minded, who can build with you, make those similar mistakes, and just like fail forward. Um, I have a couple strong leaders that I used to work with. Reed Covington, who's now at Glean, and Billy Stein, who I worked with at Service Titan, like come to mind in that
Mm.
world. Strong leaders, strong people who can build, learn, and just like fail fast. And
Is there any way you found, I mean, man, getting a number two is always like so important, or a number two or three or four, whatever you want to call it, as you kind of build out that leader. Any quick advice as you find those, you've found a couple of them, is it the people you trust the most, the hardest workers, the guys who can roll up their sleeve and just kind of figure it out? Any thoughts on finding that number two?
there's a one trait that I've really indexed more than others, and I learned it from one of my old VPs of sales, Stephen Brody, who's now also the SVP of sales over at Glean. And it's externalization versus internalization.
Mm.
The question that we really anchored towards was, tell me a time that you were set up for failure.
Yeah.
And if someone can internalize their span of control and say, hey, my quota was too high, like we all have high quotas, but what did you do about it? What did you take under your control
Yeah, cool.
and move that forward or progress forward? That's really where rubber meets the road.
I love it.
Versus the externalization. My quota was too high. My manager was really hard on me, and I didn't have a good, I wasn't set up for success. So really trying to glean, is someone in, are they externalizing, excuse me, I need my second cup of coffee today, or internalizing their span of control? That's a really strong way to weed out some strong operators.
Wow, dude. Yeah, I love it. I love it, man. Okay, let's switch to, you and I were debating a little pre-show. Just what's working, what's not working. I mean, the world is crazy right now. We're seeing, well, maybe paint a picture as to kind of what you're seeing, right? I mean, it's like we've been doing this SDR stuff, well, for years now, but it feels a little different. It just feels a little different, right?
Yeah, it really does. I mean, Gabe, you're a CRO. You probably see it all day long. You got a team who's sending emails left and right, and what we're seeing is reminiscent of like early outreach sales loft days, where companies got their hands on SCPs and they just started blasting out emails left and right.
Yeah, totally, dude.
It's kind of to the nth degree with a lot of these clay workflows that operators are trying to build. It's just cold email after cold email, and the spam rates are crazy. Connect rates are getting harder. Like
Yeah,
bounce rates are increasing. It's just the amount of companies also trying to reach your same ICP is exponential compared to 5 years ago.
right.
And most people would probably answer that question the old traditional way, like be more personalized, like just be more personalized. And like, I think, yes, that is part of the equation, no doubt, but like that personalization isn't what most people think. I think a lot of sellers make the mistake of not understanding like the true customer journey.
Hmm.
If you're just cold outreaching to a random ICP saying, hey, this is Zach from Vanta, you want to book a demo with me, you're missing out on the core crux of why like marketing exists as a function. There's the entirety of the buyer customer journey that you have to take in consideration.
Yeah.
And when I think about like awareness, interest, consideration, decision, the type of content that you're sending these folks matter. Alongside that journey. So being able to like map it really effectively internally and track where that customer is alongside that journey matters much more. And that's where personalization really matters.
Interesting. So you're real big on trying to find, I mean, obviously watch out for the spam, because spam is, it's easier than it's ever been before. But as you think about personalization, you try to map it more to that journey. Because what is it? You feel like buyers, I mean, they still are struggling. I mean, I think about a product like your guys is like, I mean, I needed it, we needed it. It's just about how do you match that need with your product at the right time, right place, right person. It's always been the game, but you like to map out the journey and then see if you can hit different pain points or educational points within that. Is that kind of your go-to?
Yeah, 100%. And for your use case specifically, it makes sense. You have a clear need to purchase a tool, or else you're not going to be able to enter the enterprise deal cycles the way that in which they buy. It's a different motion once you start to move into the enterprise space, though. So if we're talking to the Fortune 500 companies of the world, they have a program in place. It really has to follow along that buyer journey to understand, hey, I'm aware that I have a problem. Great. I have some interest in solving the problem. What type of content am I going to send you then? I'm
Yeah.
considering making a change based off of that. Can I send you some customer stories or proof points or invite you to a webinar? I'm in the decision process. Great. Let's maybe use some like gifting, etc. So yes, it depends on segment wise. You were probably in a very similar state of a lot of the companies that we're lucky to work with. We're like, hey, it's a true deal blocker, and Vanta helps unlock that.
Yeah, that's the key.
For a lot
Like
of companies.
the nice thing is, I mean, look, there's so many products that flood the market. So sometimes the product market fit isn't very good. But, to your point, if you, I mean, as we approached you guys, we looked out in the market and you and I could talk about this offline, but long story short was you definitely had an unlock that we needed, right? Like we had a very clear pain. And you guys have a very clear solution. And I don't mean to be annoying to too many people out there, but sometimes it's not as clear, right? Like or it's very crowded, or the pain isn't that big and it's a nice to have, right? And so, working through that, I wouldn't say is easy, but you guys have a nice, that very clear need to kind of think solution kind of progress there. So let's jump into AI for just a minute. I mean, it's obviously the talk of the town. You and I have debated this at somewhat of lengths, but how are you kind of thinking through it for your organization? Like give us that kind of story as the journey you guys have gone as you've tried to take this amazing trend and turn it into something that isn't maybe just talk.
Yeah, AI is such an interesting topic. When I was actually talking to Morgan Ingram, who's one of the most influential folks on LinkedIn today, we were texting just this morning, and I asked him the question like, out of every operator that you talk to, every sales dev leader that you talk to, who's like actually building with AI the right way? He said 1 out of 10, and
Seriously, dude.
it's not surprising. Like it is new. It's a new piece of technology, and folks are just genuinely trying to figure out like how is this going to implement? How am I going to implement this, and how is this going to impact my sellers?
But I mean, I got to just re-highlight that 1 out of 10 because I think that, I mean, there's so much FOMO on LinkedIn. There's so many people who are like, I've killed my whole SDR team or I've automated my whole sales team. And
Mm.
I mean, I'm in it, Zach and I were talking, 1 out of 10 feels about right. I mean, of
Yeah.
people who are doing it, and there's a lot more FOMO. Don't get me wrong, they might be playing with it, but getting real results or implementing it the right way so that you're seeing ROI. I think 1 out of 10 sounds about right. Sorry, I just wanted to triple
No,
click on that one, man.
you're right. And I think these folks on LinkedIn, Gabe, to your point, the folks are saying like, "Hey, drop a comment and I'll send you my outbound playbook, or comment here and I give you this whole rundown of how I'm going to solve this problem." Like, just continuously, um, like echoes that problem, and it even goes back to our earlier point. Like, that is perpetuating the issue of spam. Like, we are just sending spam after spam after spam, and it's hurting because those
Yeah.
agentic workflows aren't necessarily agenting. It's just here's a couple Clay tables. We're gonna do some waterfall enrichment, and we're just gonna send
Well,
thousands upon thousands of emails to
it
email.
really is, dude.
And
I
it's
worry
like,
about email, dude. I worry because I mean, it's still, it's still, we still check our email. It's just, it feels like, again, it's harder than ever because of these capabilities of just auto sending to everything now. I mean, it was bad 10 years ago with Marketo and Eloqua. It feels like it's worse now with Instantly and, Clay and whatever. Anyways,
yeah,
continue. So if
that's
1 out of 10
combined.
feels about right to you.
Yeah, I think we're honestly lucky here at Vanta. We have incredible leaders in Stevie Case, our CRO, and Josh McIntyre, who heads our revenue operations team, and they kind of push us to like make these hard decisions.
Yeah.
And we've been evaluating over the past like 4 months, do we build something incredible
I
internally?
love this. I love this because you guys are like kind of the build. You guys have some, yeah. So build versus buy, classic, which everyone's thinking about, I think, right?
No doubt. And we're lucky where we don't necessarily have to choose between build versus buy. I know
Mhm.
not every company has that luxury of saying, "Hey, I actually have to build something, or I have to actually buy it." Um, if I was evaluating on like a very very blank slate without unlimited resources, I'd think about like who's our ICP, maybe what their main problem is, and like what's the medium that I'm going to reach them
Yeah.
when I'm making like a decision to build versus buy. But
Yep.
how Vanta is like really thinking about it, Gabe, to your earlier question is like, what's really going to resonate? How do we impact sellers with having a human first centric touch point? Like
Yeah.
that's our focus. We fundamentally believe that humans buy from humans, and that's why we want to continuously invest in this program.
Yeah.
But using AI to like accelerate. How do we use it to make it more impactful? How do we arm our sellers with the best pieces of technology to impact those conversions that like genuinely matter versus replacing them outright? You're likely probably thinking about the same conversation too, right, Gabe? Like, how do you impact AI in your own organization? Are you guys thinking about something similar?
Yeah. Yeah. Look, I think this is the debate because everybody has to build right now. Like you don't have a chance to not build something, right? And so the question is, how far can you go down that path? We obviously offer different AI solutions, and so we want to be even more down that path of, hey, we have something that people are messing with themselves with Claude and looking for some productivity gains, and then we want to get something more complex in there, more agentic. That is like, I really want to be able to have a role play agent that somebody could prep better for a call, right? That maybe is a little harder to just build and kind of maybe Claude and GPT. We want to bring in LinkedIn or something like that. So, man, we face it. I think everybody's facing it. But you actually went down the path to actually build. I thought that was such a cool example. I just want to highlight it because I mean, one of the biggest things, I mean, I'm still laughing, where if you're ever in an enterprise motion, I mean, you set this up so well, so I don't want to steal your thunder, but if you're ever in an enterprise motion, like it doesn't matter who you are, what tools you use, Excel is the tool of choice. It's like I'm partnering my sales dev team with my enterprise team. They have all these amazing tools and they're using a spreadsheet. but anyways, tell us real quick something that you kind of were putting together to just kind of get the balls moving on getting that group to work together a little bit more.
Yeah, totally. And we're still riffing on the idea of how do we make this better. But to your point, every organization I've joined, bar none, like uses Excel or Google Sheets to collaborate from SDRs and AEs. Like
It's just so
it
fun.
doesn't matter what tool we give them, it's always going to be there, and it is such a pain point. VPs and SVPs are like, just push them into Salesforce. Like, why can't you update the notes there? And it just isn't the habit.
It is so funny, dude. It's just everyone's just got to stop for a minute just to hear that because we all know that it's true, man. We all know that it's been 20 years, and every time I'm like, okay, so how's your partnership going? Pop up the Excel spreadsheet. Here's shared accounts. Here's activities, and you're just like, damn it. I mean, it's not like it's the end of the world. It's just so funny because back to your almost 1 out of 10. Like, look, when it comes down to it, we all want to say there's all these fancy tools, and I know there's a new sales tool every year, but we still, oftentimes go back to the basics. So if you're a little behind, don't fret. I mean, even someone like Zach is working with his team to get out of some of that stuff. But I think you had a cool solution. Walk through kind of the version 1 or 2 that you're playing with.
Yeah, this is kind of version two. I'll share my screen really briefly and kind of show you. It's not sexy, but it's the basics of like
Yeah.
how a team can be operating. What I call this is just like a sales hub. It's a collaboration between an SDR and an AE. And our goal, of course, is to provide an AE 3x pipeline coverage across the board, no matter what. So the very first thing they see is like, cool, this is my collaboration hub. It's pulling directly from Salesforce MCP
Yep.
server. So how much pipeline do they have, revenue, et cetera, active opportunities that they're working on, and like what they need to actually get on the bottom here to like get to that 3x coverage.
Super cool.
Where we were just kind of laughing and riffing about is like the collaboration piece. And that's something that we're building out as we speak. How do we port the data from Salesforce into a self-hosted Vercel tool that we are orchestrating on our end to have this be live and for them to collaborate on this so they don't have to be forced into a spreadsheet. The value of this is it's real. It's
Yeah.
real live data that's porting from both Salesforce and Outreach and Nooks, who's our SAP provider, and just showing like what the next step is. SDRs can go in here and add what their next steps are. AEs can
Super
filter
cool.
and say like, cool, I want all my tier ones. Ash says she's going to enrich this today, and our
Love
AE
it.
Emily is going to say like, cool, I'm going to multi-thread, and like that's our goal and
I
our
love
plan
it.
for this. And we can continue to like add accounts in here, both live agentically based off of intent prioritization, or like move accounts out and it'll write back to Salesforce based off of it. So
Super
just one
cool.
idea of like there's endless opportunities to actually build with AI.
I'm so glad you popped that, dude. Because look, I think that's the look. You might not. I mean, we'll see. It'd be interesting to touch base with you in a little while, and see where you end on that. But the concept right now, I don't think is solving all world problems, but it's like you only can learn by doing. And so finding, and you might partner with someone else to build this later, or maybe you ditch it, but I'm finding that companies who have the curiosity to try to tackle some of their own problems, you then know the problem, you know the process, and maybe you'll go buy from a vendor for something like that, but you now inherently know it so much better. And right now, AI, I'm telling you, it can't do what you can't do. So you can't just be like, solve the challenge between my sales and enterprise team. Like it doesn't do that. You have to say, I know this process. I know it's broken. Here's basically how it works. AI can often then times do it better and faster or something. So I love that you've jumped in, and even again, whether you solve world hunger or not, I think that part of curiosity is super powerful. So kudos, my man.
It's interesting when you bring up too, Gabe, because like there's this concept that has been continuously talked about, and you've likely seen the same LinkedIn posts. It's like taste won't die,
Yeah,
and I'm becoming that to be
totally, dude.
incredibly true as I continuously build with Claude and OpenAI. It's like taste will determine what the future of to your earlier question, like AI looks like internally here at Vanta. If
Yeah,
you are in the business versus on the business, you will understand the workflows that need to be automated and can be built.
yeah,
If you're on the business, you might not have that conceptual understanding of like these are the small, minute workflows that we can impact, build, and go upon. Have the taste to design it and then implement it for the field. It becomes a lot
fascinating, dude.
challenging, but I'm right there
Fascinating.
with
No, man, that's a great kind of ending to that. Let me ask you one question, just kind of in closing here.
you.
How would you? So many teams are getting going, they're starting, and everyone's at different phases. But if you were going to restart a team today, because of AI, what would be some of the things you would throw on your kind of bucket list or to-do list? Just quick thoughts on for those who are kind of in that stage of the game.
Mm. Yeah, it's hard to put it in a box only because like it would depend on the organization of something,
Always, always. Yeah.
the product, the TAM, the team size. Think of those as like starting Vanta from scratch, right? No SDR team. I'm genuinely starting that 1 to 10 motion or the
Yeah.
0 to 1
Yep.
motion. I'd start with like a strong SEP. Nooks is the best in the market today. Not
Because
only
you're still like phone is just like you got to be calling. You're like, guys, you got to be calling. You just have to.
totally.
Yeah.
Phone will always be superior. That's the hill I'm going to die on.
Yeah.
I hope it doesn't actually kill me, but I
No,
genuinely
and look, times change. You may not say that in a year or 2 years, but at the moment, I don't know if many people can argue. So I like
yeah.
that.
I remember we were talking earlier, and like the old workflows that we grew up when selling was like I had the old Oracle phone on my desk, and my manager put the WAN cable into the desk phone, and they listened into my headset and whispered in my ear as I was dialing. I was like,
They had like those, what were they called? Like you had like the splitters or something,
"What the
you
WAN
could like
cable?" Yeah,
split in, dude. Those were awesome, man.
yeah. But today, like you need a strong SCP, you need a strong dialer, especially if you're dedicated to building a human-to-human interaction. So I start with Nooks.
Cool.
And then I think second, you need an intent tool. Timing is the number one most important thing in sales. So
Ooh, I love that, man. You'd go hard there. Yeah.
Actively AI is a really good platform. 6 Sense or a combination of 6 Sense plus Clay is good because that the timing is just so critical and
Timing
identifying.
in everywhere it matters. Is there a couple things on timing that you're finding through some of these platforms? Is it your standard job change stuff, or is there a few things you're often waiting for? You're like, I don't know. For each, it's different, Gabe. That's hard to kind of pin down.
It's a fun and timely conversation. When I think about intent as a function, I think about proactive intent, and I also think about reactive intent. Sixth sense, I would actually categorize as reactive intent.
Interesting.
Is already along that buying journey of like almost like decision or consideration, and they're then actively searching for a trust management solution or a platform that's going to help them like solve their trust for Vanta's situation. So I'd almost categorize Sixth Sense as a reactive enrichment or reactive intent.
Yeah.
There's a lot of like proactive intent that businesses need to be doing. Like hiring, to your point, is like a more
Yeah.
proactive
Yes. Yes.
campaign.
Yes. Yep.
How are they figuring out or building tables inside of GitHub to add SSO or add additional people? Like these are all proactive intent-based signals. So using a combination of them to monitor the company in real time,
Makes such a
then
difference, right?
decide what is the
Yeah.
message you're going to be sending them. It matters so much more. You're probably
Dude.
thinking about it the same way, probably
I
as you do.
love it. No, look, I love the reactive versus proactive. That's a really interesting positioning. I might need to noodle on that one a little bit. Zach, dude, I want to talk to you for another hour. I can't though. We both have hard stops here. If someone wants to touch base with you, what's the best way to do that, man?
You can probably find my phone number in any of these insight tools.
Yeah, that's right.
Down on the web. Here's the thing: I always answer cold calls.
Dude,
Right
I
now,
love that, man. For someone who like you and I've done the cold call. I try to answer at least one call a day, man, and I'm pretty religious because I've been in your shoes. I know it. So I appreciate that comment, man. I
I
appreciate it.
think the one thing I'm trying right now is I have the Apple audio
Yeah,
script because I'm trying to actually see what breaks through the noise, and to then like give the
interesting, dude.
feedback back to my sellers because there's so much noise out there.
Oh man, that's a whole nother conversation, dude. That's a whole nother conversation.
But yeah,
Um,
you can find my number on any of these enrichment tools. Hit me on LinkedIn. I'm always
cool.
available. So,
Cool, man. Well, Zach, again, super fun to just hear how it's kind of playing out in the last few years with you. Best of luck at Vanta. You guys are doing some awesome stuff again as a customer, new customer. Big pain point, great solution. Congrats on kind of what you guys have done. So, Zach, again, thank you for the audience. Have a fantastic day.
appreciate you, Gabe. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks for having me on, and best of luck.